This episode is sponsored by Matt Herbert. Hello and welcome back to Film Pro Productivity and Success, the podcast that helps creative people to live a more focused, effective and happy life. My name is Carter Ferguson and this is episode 131, Working with Beta Clients. Unfortunately, the client that exists today is still pretty much the prototype design. Shawn Fanning, unquote. And the astute amongst you may have noticed that I changed the intro to that one, just dropping the reference to film professionals, because really, this was never particularly aimed at film professionals. To some extent, it was aimed at filmmakers, because that was the creative world in which I was working. But I think it works fine, like what I've just done there. It gives me a little bit more room to get it in as well. Sometimes I have to rush it if I've got a long title. But if you really don't like it, give me a shout and I'll maybe change it back. I'll see how I feel about it myself after a week or two. Anyway, I'm back on recording a new show here. It's right at the end of 2022. It's the 31st, in fact. And I'm recording two new shows because I've got a busy time coming up. And this first one I'm going to get into is called, as I say, Working with Beta Clients. And this is one which is possibly of more interest to those of you that are in business or those of you that are freelancers, just as a heads up. But I'll fire straight into it. And in software development, a beta test is the second phase of software testing in which a sampling of the intended audience tries a product out, beta being the second letter of the Greek alphabet. And originally the term alpha test meant the first phase of testing in a software development process. But I'm going to refer to it here in a slightly different context, in that of working with clients. And I'm going to be completely honest with you here. I worked out this show in quite extreme detail earlier in the week. I took a full day to develop two shows, and I've completely lost my notes for this episode. Oh God, there's so much going on with this crowdfunder that I've got running at the moment, and the film that I'm shooting that I've arsed up. But I do have my initial notes from this one, which I'll try and put something together for you from. But yeah, I have searched everywhere. It's not in my Word documents. And what I think I might have done is, as I say, I worked on two episodes, and it shouldn't have happened this way, because I do remember renaming it. Possibly I shut down one before I saved it. And I've been going through all the savings and it's just not there. But there's a lesson for you, productivity lesson. You don't want to be doing the same job twice. Unfortunately for you today, I don't have time to do the big number on it that I did before, so I'm just going to sketch it out for you. So beta clients are a test client, in effect. You want to find somebody that is perhaps you're friendly with, or that isn't going to give you grief if you perhaps don't deliver exactly what you are hoping to. But a test client, a beta client, is good if you've got a new business idea, or you want to expand into an area you have not got much experience of. Working with a beta client can help you to understand what the problems are and find solutions before you're in a situation where money is changing hands. So this is almost a follow-on to that doing stuff for free episode that I did a few episodes ago. And I have found myself doing this fairly recently on Mercy Falls, which is Ryan Hendrick's film. He shot that feature in March, and I was on his fight coordinator. And it just so happened I had brought a camera one day, and I shot some behind-the-scenes stuff, and I said to him, who should I send this to? And he said, there's nobody doing behind-the-scenes video. We've only got somebody doing behind-the-scenes stills. So I kind of made an agreement with him at that point that I'd shoot behind-the-scenes stuff for him and put a behind-the-scenes video together. And it was good for me because I wanted to learn the camera that I had, the GH5, and I wanted to know its quirks and its problems. I also had a number of lenses that I wanted to try. I was trying to work with vintage Takuma lenses, which look fantastic, by the way, but it's much, much more difficult to get sharp focus, etc., if you're on a manual lens than in some of the modern lenses. And I also wanted to try out DaVinci Resolve, which I have edited a few things on in the past, but I haven't done anything particularly complex on, and so there was a whole lot of benefits for me in doing it. And I did think, though, although I didn't specifically want to be shooting behind the scenes stuff, so maybe the niche was maybe a mistake to do that as a niche. It just seemed like a good opportunity for me with Ryan as the beta client to get some learning in. But I'm going to go through some reasons maybe why I shouldn't have done that, although it was a worthwhile exercise as far as I'm concerned at this end of it. But there's a few things that maybe will come up in my notes here rather than my detailed, organised information in my initial notes that might kind of make you question whether that decision was the right one or not. And these are questions which may come up yourselves. One thing I'd say is having the wrong beta client can hurt you as much as it can help you. It didn't in that particular instance with Ryan at all, but I think if I had maybe went into it without an awareness of what I was trying to get out of it, I could just have wasted an awful lot of time and given an awful lot of that time away for nothing, but without any real return from it. Because basically, if you've got the wrong beta client, you're wasting your time. You're getting information that will not help you to grow as a business. And what you want to be doing is finding the right person, the right company that is going to give you exactly what you want out of it, the learning you want out of it. And I think that kind of brings me to point one in all this, which is to ask yourself, are you sure what your niche is? You kind of need to know exactly what you're niching down into, what exactly you want before you commit to doing something which is going to, well, give you a commitment to deliver something somewhere down the line. Having beta clients from everywhere won't help you. You're just working for free, you see. You need to be mindful of what your niche is, and when you pick that niche, you need to know that all of the beta clients that you're considering work within that niche and are going to give you something back from that niche, if it makes sense. And the second thing, and I'm working from notes here, folks. I know I'm maybe not wording this as well as I usually do, but the second thing I've got written down here is be careful that you're not giving away more than what you're getting. Yeah, basically the information that comes back from a beta client has got to be enough to help you to move forward, to, for example, go into another job, paid job, with the knowledge that you know how to address the new client's problem and provide a solution to that new client. You know, that's what you want to be learning from your beta client. And as I say, if it's the wrong client, the wrong beta client, you're going to be learning the wrong stuff. You're going to be going in the wrong direction. So stick to that niche. The third note I've got here is your beta client. Well, yeah, beware that your beta client doesn't block you from having the information you need to learn from. This would come up perhaps in marketing numbers. Let's just say you were helping a band, say, to promote their music video. So you make a music video for it, but you're really doing it because you want to see, right, okay, I can make the music video, but I want to know the figures. I want to know who's watching it. I want to know if we are putting Google ads out or whatever into this. We need to know what the effect is on the numbers. And if you're getting blocked from knowing what the analytics are, perhaps, then you're not really going to be able to go to the next music video client to say, I did this before and we got this number of viewers. You know what I mean? So you need to have access to the information that's going to be valuable to you as you move on. And some people may try to block you from that information. And the fourth thing I've got on my list is they have a long list of things for you to do instead of you being able to focus on the one thing. Yeah, be aware with a beta client that they're not suddenly giving you stuff to do that you've not really agreed to in the first instance. You could find yourself getting taken off in directions that suit the client, and they're basically using you as a free resource to create stuff for them, but it's not the direction you want to go in. So I'd say you want to really lay it on the line when you initially agree to work with a beta client, exactly what they're going to get. And if they start diverting from that and asking for new things and clicking things on, you probably want to be talking to them about it actually costing money, or just to leave you alone so you can deliver the one thing you've agreed to. So just be careful these things don't grow arms and legs. And what is it? I've called it before. I did an episode on it. Mission creep. It's mission creep. So you agree to one thing and suddenly you find you're doing 3, 4, 5 other things. That's not good, especially if it's all distracting you from the information you're trying to learn, the things you're trying to learn while working with a beta client. Another problem to watch out for is that you're working with somebody who's chaotic. They just don't have the information that you need because they don't know where to look for it. So I find this sometimes if I'm working with a working on a fight sequence for someone, and that they've never had to deal with fights before. Not a beta client in this example, but I seem to spend an awful lot of time teaching that person what my job is, or that company what my job is, and it just distracts from my distracts. It takes up time that I don't have to give, or I do have to give because they're paying me money, but I can find myself spending hours sorting out stuff that if I'd worked for another client, they already knew it all. So you want to find a client that's at a certain level already, that understands. Let's just say, we'd use a music video analogy again. You want to access this information about how the analytics are going, where it's playing, if people are watching it, etc. If those people you're working with don't actually know how to generate that information, they're not going to be able to give it to you. So try and ensure that the people you're working with have got at least a little bit of a clue of what they're doing, and that again will help you to pin down if they're the right people for you or not. Number 6 on my list here, and I had to stop the recording and reread this a few times because I don't really understand what my notes are sometimes, is be sure when you originally approach your beta client to ensure that they understand the relationship. That it's kind of what I was saying a minute ago, that you present yourself in the correct way, basically, and you do lay down exactly what you're trying to help them with, what problem of theirs you're trying to solve. And if that's not agreed and clear at the start, you could get yourself into trouble somewhere down the line. The next one I've actually got here, I think I've already covered it. Yeah, be careful you're not looking for somebody that you're going to have to teach everything from the beginning. It's what I was saying earlier. Find somebody that's at the right level that you're stepping up to learn from, rather than somebody that's at a lower level than you and you're really helping them, but they're never going to be able to give you the help back that you need. And finally, I've got here, this is an important one. I've found this myself in the past. Ensure that you have a relationship with the actual decision maker. If you're working with a business of any sort, if you don't have a relationship with the right person, then you're wasting your time. And I did help my brother out on something he was needing done, and I wasn't expecting anything back from it, but I shot some stuff for him. He said it was going to take me 5 minutes. It took me 5 hours to get there. It took me about 4 hours to shoot it, and it took me about 5 hours to get back. I'm exaggerating a little bit, but not by much. It was a nightmare. And then I had like a day of editing. But anyway, that was to help my brother out, and that went on up the line, and that was used, and it was all fine. However, there was no benefit to me in doing that. And yes, I was doing him a favour, but if that was a beta client, my relationship was not with the person that made the decisions. So if that person at the top liked what I had done, they wouldn't know that I was anything to do with it. So it's really, really important that you're working with the right person and not somebody down the line, because there's people down the line will take and not give back. Reminds me of a situation I've faced more than once when working with a millionaire. You think, oh, this person's a millionaire, this is going to go well. In my experience, someone's a millionaire because they are that penny pinching that they will not part with their money. And I have spent a lot of time and effort developing stuff for somebody in the hope that that was going to go to a big directing job for me, and it's kind of went nowhere. It's kind of relevant to what I'm talking about here. Although maybe not as precisely as I would like. And this is what you get when you get an off-the-cuff episode. But yeah, that's the kind of 8 things I think I went through there, that although 2 of them might have been the same one, to be fair. 8 things to be aware of when you're looking for a beta client. But beta clients are useful. They are helpful. I enjoyed working with Ryan on the Mercy Falls behind-the-scenes stuff. I've actually delivered it now. Although I did not deliver a fully finished, polished product. What I did is I delivered a first draft, and then I got so much work that I couldn't. We were talking about it, and it was going to get refined, and I was into that really, really busy period of about 14 weeks of fight contracts, and so I didn't know it was going to be 14 weeks. It just kept unfolding and unfolding, and Ryan had said, well, I've got time myself to work on it. And I thought, right, the right thing to do here is I've delivered draft 1 of the edit, is I'll deliver the entire edit to Ryan, and Ryan's going to do his own polished version of it, which is possibly how it would have went anyway. But I got out of it what I wanted. I got to use my software. I got to use the cameras. I got to face a few problems along the way. I got to make a few mistakes, but it didn't really cost me. Ryan's happy that he's got a bunch of stuff which didn't cost him anything. I'm happy that I got a bunch of learning from that relationship as well. So that's all good. But I've not got any fantastic quotes on hand. I'll find one for the end of the show though, but that's really all I've got to talk about today. I do apologise for it being a little bit ropey, but I'm hoping there's something to learn in that lot. Let me just say quickly here though that I have got a podcast. This is the podcast. I've got a crowdfunder running when this episode goes out. It's for my for my short festive horror film, The Traveller. It's on Indiegogo. And if you go onto my social media, go onto Fight_Director on Twitter, and it's the same Fight_Director on Instagram, or you can find me on Facebook somewhere, whatever. This information is around. I tell you what, I'll go onto the website and I'll put a link to the Indiegogo at the top of it. But I'm looking for your support financially if you can. There's the usual, what's it called, perks you can buy into. The film itself, I can tell you a little bit about. It is about a salesman called Elliot who is heading home on Christmas Eve to join his family, and unluckily for him, something evil joins with him instead. So, little short horror thing. It's got quite a lot of moving parts to it. Logistically, it's really very, very difficult, and it's my attempt after a few years not shooting any short films to get back on the directing, filmmaking horse, as it were, and shove something out that is of quality. And I've got some fantastic people working on it, but I can only really afford about half the budget myself, and I'm trying to raise £2,000, which sounds like a lot of money. It is a lot of money to some people. Certainly after two and a bit years of COVID, I do not have the finances I had before it, so I do need to run the crowdfunder to make it work. But I am hoping that if I can find like 100 and I think we're at something like 13% of the money at the moment. If I can get like 170 people or thereabouts to just donate £10 to the crowdfunder, then I will hit my target. So if it's of interest to you, if I've described it in any way well at all there, as I say, I'm feeling very much on the back foot with this episode. If it's of interest to you, please go and check it out. And if you can't afford to financially back it, please, I really, really, really would appreciate it if you would share the links, because it's all about reaching that crowd. But that's enough for just now. Deep apologies that I arsed this episode. I hope there's something worth listening in there. This one will go down in the annals as the least prepared of all the shows I think I've ever done. But yeah, that's it for now. And next week's show, it is there. I have got it here, all my notes full. It's about gatekeepers, and that's the kind of last point I was making there in the 8 points I was bringing up. Make sure you've got a relationship with the decision maker when you're talking about beta clients. This is all about gatekeepers. Gatekeepers are people that will block you, or the people that will let you in whatever you want to do, and they are very, very important if you want to proceed in life. And there's ways of dealing with them, and there's ways of getting around them, and I talk about that sort of stuff, but quite an important episode. For now, though, I'm going to leave you with a quote from, I'm going to pause it here, I'm going to look up a quote, and I'll be back in a second. Okay, I went and looked one up, and here's a good one from Peter Drucker, who I always look to revisit for a good quote now and again. He says that quality in a service or product is not what you put into it, it is what the client or customer gets out of it. So bear that in mind if you go to start looking for beta clients. That's as important as anything else I've said here, probably more important. But for now, let me say, take control of your own destiny, keep on shooting, and join me, please, next time on Film Pro Productivity and Success. The music that you can hear right now is Adventures by Himitsu, and the executive producer of this season is Christopher McPhillips from Artos Digital. You can view the show notes for this episode on the official website, filmproproductivity.com, although I'm not sure what they'll be at this point. You can also follow my personal accounts on Twitter and Instagram at Fight_Director, or follow the show on Twitter at FilmProProdPod, or on Facebook at FilmProProductivity. Please support the show by subscribing, spreading the word, and leaving an awesome review.